Lions Rock Productions.
My name's Darrow Chan.
This is Drew Kahn.
I'm Laird Hamilton.
This is Ian Scott.
My name is Dr. Richard Leday.
This is Nate Boyer.
This is Fred Leland.
This is Mark Schaefer.
This is Scott McEwen.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Ty Smith from Vigilance Risk Solutions, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
I've got my man Paul from Paul's Paellas. Paul is also like me, a spy, and different kinds of spy, also an Air Force grad, 35 years in the intel community, not any smarter for it, but you came in smart, so it's pretty good. And Paul and I go way back, and I love this guy. So he's riding shotgun with me. Paul and I are both combat warriors, and in this room, we are the biggest pussies around because we have Ty sitting across from us. Ty not only is a badass who can kill you because he's a SEAL, Ty also knows that part of his job is to look like a SEAL when he's out there doing stuff. He knows Will Hardy, who's been on the show before, and one of Will's favorite stories is you guys talking, and he's like, "Hey man, you got to take your shit off and chill out." And you're like, "No man, I'm a SEAL." And I love that about you. I love your story. You went through a program called the MBV program through USC, which focuses on, you're not a 23-year-old business school grad. You're an actual person that's got real skills, a lot of experience. So they put you through like an MBA-like program along with mentors. I want you to really quickly just talk about that because I really want to get into the other stuff, but it's such a fascinating program for people that have veteran experience.
I was with cohort 3 of the MBV program. When I was getting ready to retire, I knew I wanted to build this company. I was just finishing my undergraduate degree from Ashford University, organizational management, which is a business degree, but I knew that I didn't have enough business school education to go out and start something and really start, rumbling with even middle-sized companies within this space. So I started looking around at different schools, mainly MBA programs, so that I could learn a little more about business. And my buddy, Eric Harney, another SEAL, whose wife is actually in the program right now.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a veteran as well. He told me about the Masters of Business for Veterans program at University of Southern California Marshall School of Business. So I got online to check it out, and I was able to view the entire curriculum, and immediately I recognized that, okay, it's not as long as an MBA because it's only a 1-year program, which lined up with my retirement date and when I wanted to be working for this company. But also, I found that it's extremely heavy on entrepreneurship and strategy, whereas the MBAs, they don't get as much entrepreneurship and strategy. Now, we don't get as much of the other subjects, the accounting, analytics, finance, as they do. We get it, just not as much as they do, but we get a lot more entrepreneurship and strategy because their thought was, hey, when you got guys and gals coming out of the military, they have a lot more managerial leadership experience, worldly culture, a lot more understanding than the average kid coming out of an MBA school that's maybe 23 years old. They still got a lot of stuff that they need to learn. So they truncated the course and they were focusing on entrepreneurship and strategy. And that's exactly what I needed. Yeah. Because I knew I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. I wanted to do my own thing, but I was missing some tools that I needed to go out and learn. So I went up and talked to some of the staff. They let me audit one of the classes. I sat through one of their informational sessions, and I decided that, this is the program I want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're right. When I think about what a retired operator would do, a guy like me who's like an operator, I know the tactics. I'll figure out what has to be done. But that bigger picture, that strategic thing, like I need to build this company and I need it to be somewhere, maybe 5, I don't know. I need to have those answers. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. What company did you start?
I run Vigilance Risk Solutions. We are a San Diego-based corporate security and risk consultancy that specializes in workplace violence prevention. So we help our customers to prevent workplace violence by way of really 4 offerings. Risk assessment, that means that we will go into the organization, whether it be a company, a church, or a school, and we will find every vulnerability they have, physical vulnerabilities, digital vulnerabilities, environmental vulnerabilities, and we will help them to close those loopholes up. Also, we build their emergency operations policies. So every company in the United States It's supposed to have an injury and illness prevention plan. Within that IIPP should be a workplace violence prevention plan, according to OSHA. If they don't have it, we'll build it for them. If they have it, but they think maybe it's a little wanting, we'll audit it and rebuild it for them.
Yeah.
Also, we oversee curriculum-based training for employees, anything regarding workplace violence. So workplace violence prevention courses, active shooter awareness courses, urban street smarts, corporate travel safety, things like that. And we do it in person, but now we offer our courses by way of a learning management system.
Oh, okay.
So a web-based training platform as well.
Wow, that's a lot. You know, and it's funny because we've tried to get together and do this. You're a busy dude, I'm a busy dude. And even though we only live a few hours apart at most, this recording of the program, it happens just in the direct shadow of Parkland and the shooting over there. So it's fortuitous that we have the opportunity to talk with someone who's actually an expert in these kinds of things. And I hope that we can maybe have a little bit of that conversation because there's a lot of people that, look, they aren't tactical experts like you. And so there's people saying things like teachers should have guns. We should get rid of assault rifles and all these other kind of things. As someone who specializes in the most dangerous shit in the world, is it reasonable to expect a school to be able to prevent some kind of mass shooting like this? Or is that just an unreasonable expectation given what we know about what causes these things?
So I wouldn't go so far as to say that the school itself has the ability to prevent these situations from happening, because when it comes down to it, the people that are committing these crimes, they're planning. Just like we plan for weeks, months, sometimes only hours prior to running missions overseas, these individuals are planning as well. Just like the shooter down in Parkland, Florida.
Yeah.
He was making prank calls because he was timing law enforcement response. He was timing the response of even the people that were internal to the school.
Right.
So they're planning to commit these crimes. So when you have people that have all the time in the world to plan, it's really difficult to stop those people from doing the things that they want to do. I do believe that every school should be responsible for giving everything they got toward putting in place risk mitigation controls to try to prevent these situations from taking place. Will they be able to stop every single person from slipping through the cracks? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I know as a guy I'm pretty good with a gun. And if you are standing still and 10 feet in front of me, I will shoot you directly in the middle of your heart. And that is a level of proficiency that's probably uncommon, I would say. If my heart's beating, maybe a little less accurate. If you're more than 10 feet away and in a classroom, if I'm a teacher and you've got the jump on me, I'm going to struggle to take any kind of shot. And I don't know about you, but if I've got a 9mm in my pocket and I pull that out, I maybe could hit you reliably at the window that's over there and across the hallway, and that's 15 yards, something like that.
Right.
Maybe. And then if it's chaotic and my heart is beating, it goes down significantly. And I don't expect you to answer whether or not you can do it. I know that in a school setting, if I've got a pistol, I'm just about useless. I'd be better charging the guy and just trying to close distance. Paul disagrees with me. And Paul's
I'm sorry. You don't have to be all that proficient. I'm sorry. If a guy's got an AR-15 and he's shooting these kids in the barrel, you're going to get these mass casualties. If he's got someone just firing rounds in his area, he's not going to be nearly as accurate.
That's fine.
I'm definitely a believer. I want the training. I want people with weapons that actually know what they're doing.
All right.
But you put a weapon in one of those guys' hands, and they're going to have some problems.
I'm just saying that it's unrealistic to expect a teacher to automatically be able to deal with that in the situation with the variables that are there. I don't know if you'd want to try to take that shot. I would be like, wow. And if I shoot a kid, wow, horrible.
Right.
So there's a lot of variables that go into that kind of thing. How much training does it take for someone to reliably be able to engage somebody with a pistol in an environment like that? How many hours would you guess?
That's a really good question, and I get that question a lot. I got that question from about 3 different people over the last couple of days when I was up in San Francisco overseeing some seminars for one of our insurance partners. And I'm telling you right now, from a person that's been shot at a lot, from a person that's actually returned fire with the enemy under the most dire situations and under a tremendous amount of stress, it's a lot harder than people think, and it takes hours upon weeks upon months of training in order to be able to drive a firearm that way.
Yeah.
Anybody can carry a gun on their hip. Anybody can remove that gun from their holster and start shooting. But I'm talking about driving that firearm. Because if you're not driving that firearm in that situation, you're going to be standing there, you're going to be exchanging lead back and forth with the person that's shooting at you, and you're shooting at them, and you guys are going to look up, and there's going to be dead people all around you, and you guys are still going to be standing there looking back and forth at one another.
Yeah.
Because untrained shooters are not ready for that kind of stress. And you're absolutely right, Paul. When someone's shooting at you, immediately your mindset kind of changes a little bit. But again, you have to remember, these people have been preparing. So the average person doesn't walk around going, it's possible that I might die today. It's possible that I might die. Somebody's going to be shooting at me today. These individuals are already living that violent fantasy. So in a way, they're preparing for that. It's just like, I've been in a lot of gunfights.
Yeah.
And the very first time somebody shot at me, it was a life-changing event. And that actually happened in high school. I wasn't even in the SEAL teams yet.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll never forget the way that felt and how my brain sort of froze, because this was prior to me having any training.
Sure.
And now you fast forward all these years later, and I mean, my last deployment in Afghanistan in 2014, that deployment alone, we got in over 30 gunfights, and by the last gunfight, it's like, oh, they're shooting at us again. It's all right, it's time to do our thing. And that's not because we're unafraid now, or we're not experiencing fight or flight, because we're still experiencing it.
Yeah.
But we have so much training and experience that my brain is OODA looping faster than I can blink my eyes, because I'm so used to it.
Oh,
so
man. All right.
I don't think that it's a good idea to arm teachers. In fact, I would flat out say no, absolutely not. You can train teachers all you want, but teachers are teachers. They're not gunfighters. So it's completely different. Anybody can go to a range, because this is what happens when most people get qualified to carry a weapon concealed. They go through a course that's maybe 6 hours. They go to a range. They do a qualification that's maybe 25 rounds, and it's very simple to operate a firearm when you're in the range, you're standing in your stall, it's air conditioning, nobody's yelling at you, nobody's running around chaotic. More importantly, no one's shooting at you.
Right.
And shoot that 25-round qual and pass it. It's really easy to do that. But now when you take the person out of that situation, and the situation's deteriorating rapidly, and their heart's about to jump through their chest, and there's chaos all over the place.
Yeah.
You got kids and innocent people screaming, people are bumping into you, and there's someone trying to kill you.
Yeah.
It's completely different to drive that firearm accurately and shoot the person that you're trying to shoot and nobody else.
Fully agree. And I haven't had your combat experience, but I do have some of the unique positions I've had. But, I think it's
Let's be honest. You ate a lot of cookies.
I ate a lot of
He was an officer.
stuff.
Maybe it was cake.
However, I'm thinking, my daughter. I've taken my daughter to a range a couple of times, shot the shotgun, saw a big old boo-boo lip the first time she shot off the 12 gauge. That was funny. But, I'm thinking, in a situation where she's trapped in a room and someone's coming at her and her friends and they got an AR-15, their intent is to kill my daughter, even without experience. If I had a choice, well, my daughter, should she have no weapon or should she have a weapon? I want my daughter to have a weapon. Okay. Training's got to go with it. And limited training and someone firing up, there's liabilities. But I think it is so much more so when these shooters are going to these essentially these firearm free zones, and it's literally shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, how many of these guys go to a police station and start shooting things up? Not going to happen. Or better yet, go to a gun range where people got just a little bit of training. They don't do that. Okay. I totally agree with you.
I bet if that guy goes to a gun range, there's a whole lot of dead
I bet
people.
he goes to a gun range too. But you know what?
A whole lot of people shooting each
even
other.
if my daughter had zero experience with a firearm, other than maybe putting it where the trigger goes and which end actually the bullet comes out of, I'd rather her have the gun than not have it in that situation. So
it's hard.
I think it's mute because I think there's so many other solutions.
This is
anyway to this one, like information management.
The point of the conversation, though, is to illustrate this. Like one of the things I learned from there are two things that I've practiced a lot as a guy that's worked with you guys. I'm not a group guy. I'm not a team guy. But one is when I if I'm just going to be plinking at paper targets, to do it like get my heart beating a little bit and then walk in place and see how I do to try to figure out where I might shoot. And the other thing is whatever position I take, whatever V or whatever stance it is, start from there, work my way back. So if I need to shoot, I can bring up the gun to my chest and then push out from there, which I can't do reliably. It's a perishable skill that I just can't. Like if you stand like this, I'll hit. But those kind of things, and that's just the minorest, simplest little shit. Walking in place, getting my heart beating, and trying to shoot from a compromised position so I can be a little quicker. As a guy that can shoot, I wouldn't. Again, I would be very uncomfortable taking that shot.
Oh, very few people can shoot that accurately under those types of conditions.
Right.
Very, very few people. And they have years of experience doing it, and that's why they're so good doing it. And if you don't have that kind of training, it's, I just don't think that you should be carrying a weapon, especially around kids. People talk about arming the teachers, but you
fully agree with training.
You also have to consider the fact that teachers are human beings too. Some of those human beings that are teachers are crazy as well. Okay? So I don't want to send my kid to a school where there's a bunch of teachers armed, and teachers flip out all the time too. I mean, how many teachers get arrested on a weekly basis for making poor decisions?
Giving carte blanche to all teachers. They have to be vetted too. And I know I went to the American school system too. There's a lot of them I would not want to have firearms, most certainly. But then again, there's actually a lot of teachers, surprisingly, especially in the South, actually have carry permits too, who actually do have proficiency already. And I think there's be quite a few be willing to get it. Is anybody saying let's give firearms to all teachers? I don't think so. If so, that's only to be shut down, of course.
So the other question I have for you is as we look at this and you try to mitigate risk, should the school resource officer, first off, securing a school with one person is really hard to do. And you're going to, I know as a guy that can plan operations, as a guy that's been shot at and had my life, like, whoa, wait a second, that was a bullet. I need to get my head down. I would account for where that guy is and either kill him first or go somewhere on the opposite end of the school and make them respond to me and out-OODA loop that guy, and hope that they do I have more time. But I'm definitely looking for that one person. So can one person sufficiently in your mind secure a large high school, or is that really a multi-person job? And then should that school resource officer have a carbine of some kind or a weapon that's more effective at 100 yards out? What do you think?
That's a really good question. In the SEAL teams from day one, we are taught that 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that's an adequate job for one person to do, because I don't care how much of a ninja I have an ability to be. I can't be everywhere and nowhere at once.
Right. It takes 3 minutes.
That's it. You know what I mean? And I got used to I'm going to have a swim buddy wherever I go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's too large of a task for one person. And it all comes down to training. How much training does that school resource officer have?
Yeah.
How much does he understand tactics? How much has he actually studied the layout of that school? Does he even know what the ML COAs, MD COAs are? Most likely course of action, most dangerous course of action.
Right.
Is he thinking that way? And that all is a result of training. So no, one person isn't enough. You need a lot more than that. Yeah. Is it possible to make the schools a lot more secure by way of workplace design? Absolutely. We can do a lot to change the landscape of this particular threat by building schools differently.
Yeah.
And even though we can't go in and complete and tear down schools like they did with Sandy Hook and build up a new structure that's more, secure, but there's technology out there that we can use to take a currently standing structure and make it a lot more secure. I'm actually in the process of completing a joint venture with a company that is about to release the most incredible ballistic technology I've ever seen.
Damn.
I mean, this technology can take film and put it on windows and turn that window into a ballistic window. We can take drywall, rip out one side of it, and hang sheets of this ballistic armor that's as thin as this book.
No kidding.
From the ceiling to the floor, put the drywall back up.
Yeah.
And now the walls in a school are ballistic walls. And you don't even know it. You can't even see it.
I'll set shields down always. They can't shoot down.
Absolutely.
There's so many things you can do.
There's so many things that can be done. So we don't have to completely, militarize our school campuses in order to achieve the goal that we're looking for.
That's just like in Valletta, where they have
That's old. It's medieval technology, literally. How do you prevent those crossbowmen from taking out old town?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, that's why this debate's so funny. I mean, everyone's talking about Second Amendment and taking away weapons. And it's just, guys, there's so many solutions you're not even talking about yet. So.
And I don't think that's the answer. Like, no, you're not gonna. This is America. You're not gonna come in here and take away our guns. Like, are you kidding me? Like, good luck getting in my house and getting my guns out of my hand. You know what I mean? That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think that. I don't think that one person at a school is gonna be enough. It's gonna take people with true subject matter expertise coming together. And regardless of whether you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're pro-Second Amendment, you're anti-Second Amendment, it doesn't matter. People need to come together, take off all those hats.
Right.
You know, I'm going to leave my Republican hat outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on a T-shirt that says Dad.
Yeah.
And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to come in here, you're going to sit your ass down. We're going to figure this out as parents.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a political agenda about it. And, you know, whether we should have guys at schools with AR-15s, you know, as long as that person has the right training, I don't think it's a bad idea because nowadays our kids are used to seeing guns. All of our kids are used to seeing guns, whether it's on TV, in a video game. We're taking our kids to the gun ranges. More people are doing that. So I don't think that that's going to be going too far. But again, making sure that that person has training because for me, there's not much of a difference between an AR-15 and a pistol because I'm going to drive them both accurately and I know the limitations of them both.
Yeah. Right.
But there is a difference between someone that is actually a real shooter and someone that's just carrying a gun. So I wouldn't mind if my kid's school actually had someone that I knew was really well prepared.
Right.
And they had an AR-15 and a pistol on their hip. But we always have to caution people prior to bringing in armed security because, again, how much training do they have? How much experience do they have?
This is a great point. And some of the people I know do armed security. They've got concealed carry permits, and they're cops, and they're former service members. And there is that conversation. We should give former service members jobs in schools. Other people are like, nope, those are mercenaries. They don't belong. Look, you and I both, all three of us know, most of us are not combatants. And those of us that do carry are likely barely capable of qualifying in a very controlled setting. So the thought that we only have kill skills is absolutely incorrect. And the thought that we only can kill because we're great at it is absolutely incorrect. Like, you guys spend a lot of time shooting. You have a huge budget for bullets, but the big military doesn't do that. You shoot maybe twice a year, maybe. And that's not proficient, to be tactically able to handle these things. So it's not the answer just to bring service members in. Not that they couldn't handle it. There's a lot of guys that could. But same thing with the cops, though. How many of those guys do simunition training? How many of them are put into situations in their school where they're able to respond to an unknown surprise threat? And then how about red team it? You and I can go in right now to any school in America and red team the shit out. Sorry, red team is when you practice doing an attack like on a school or whatever. We come up with something that would be horrifying that they would never think of because we have the planning advantage. It's incredible work that you're doing. And I don't want us to stay on the school topic too long. I think we've illustrated how complex it is. It's not get rid of the guns. It's not more guns. It's, hey, look, there's a lot of solutions. And as a parent, I've got $1,000 extra bucks if it means I can buy this window and make it bulletproof. I got $1,000 for that.
That's right.
And if that only covers half of it, then my buddy next to me's got another $1,000 or whatever, and we can put these things in because conceal and cover. If we can hide, if you can get behind something, that might make the difference. Between, and there's always heroes in groups, like that disco shooting in Florida. I don't need a gun in that case. I'm going to bull rush that person, and he might get me, but hopefully someone else is bull rushing at the same time, and then I'll take that guy out and I'll lay on him. It doesn't necessarily have to have a gun, but you have to have someone that runs towards contact. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the part about service members because unfortunately, there are a lot of ungrateful brats in this country that actually do look at service members that way. In case of war, break glass.
Right.
You know what? there isn't an organization in the world that doesn't have its bad apples.
Yeah.
And we are not immune from that. Not even the SEAL teams or the group guys are immune from that. And we're at the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Everybody's got knuckleheads. But for some people to have an outlook as a whole on veterans that way, that's just ignorant. Like, what's the guy's name up here? I think he was in Northern California, the teacher that just went on that rant in front of I think it was Salcido or something like that.
Yeah, Salcido was his last name.
I mean, like, what an idiot.
The lowest
I'm
of the
glad
low.
that I have this platform to say that, because I've had a million people ask me, hey, what do you think about that? And I haven't given it any attention because that's how worthless that dude is to me. But anyone that looks at people that voluntarily stood up and served their country that way, especially in a time of war, that's not right. When it comes down to it, we've been at war for a long time. So veterans of the United States of America, we have a lot of combat experience. We do. And if people were smart, instead of looking down on us for that, it's okay for you to have your political opinion. If you're anti-war, that's great. I'm anti-war too. I just understand that
turns out
sometimes it has to happen in order to achieve peace. But I think they should realize that because of that, we have a lot to offer. Especially in this particular situation. Cops are great, but there aren't enough of them. And you're absolutely right. Most cops are severely undertrained. Because they're under budgeted and they're undermanned. So they don't have time to train as much as we did when we were in the service. So I think people should absolutely take advantage of the fact that we have men and women in this country that have true subject matter expertise regarding, hey, how do we stop bad people from killing good people? And they should take advantage of that, because we want to help.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
And just to illustrate that point a little more, you're a SEAL. You've been on a lot of missions. I've been on missions with you guys, group guys and everything. And we have been shot at a lot. But if I was to be honest, in a year of combat deployment, I would say it's pretty fair to say there will be more conversations with locals than there will be rounds exiting a barrel from an American.
Absolutely. We don't play checkers overseas. We play chess. You know what I mean?
And if that wasn't clear, let me say this another way. Let's say that Ty and I go out on patrols for the whole year with a team, and there's 30 of us on a patrol, and we get into 30 gunfights. Maybe there's 3,000 rounds expended in all that time. All the rest of the time we're there, multiple conversations every day with locals will far exceed that number, and in time too. Because how short firefights typically are. It's not these long 5-day battles. It's fast moving, get out. And it's I'm glad we had the conversation about that stuff, because having someone who's an expert in this kind of thing and specializes in this field, we don't want any more kids to die at school. But this is not a binary problem. It's a multivariate problem. Having people that are more qualified to protect kids is great. Having you and I would approach this problem probably differently too. If you and I did it, I'd be able to be proficient in my weapon, and I'm going to talk to every kid that I can. They're going to call me Pete, and they're going to love me, and information is going to flow into me because that's what I do. I gather stuff. You're going to and I'm just saying you in this case, you're going to handle this in a different way, and maybe you're the guy that makes everybody feel safe because you dress like a fucking SEAL and you look like that, and everybody's like, that's the bad motherfucker right there. And there's Pete, he's got ice cream. And between the two of us, we're going to figure out these 10 dudes right here are the ones that we want to help.
But that's what makes us so great. You know what I mean? And like Paul and I might disagree on some stuff, but I still want him in that decision-making process. You know what I mean? Because I know, I have the wherewithal to know that, I'm a pit bull. You know, I have the ability to be a sledgehammer when it's time for me to bring, to bear the full combat power of the United States of America. And I'm very, very good at it. But I know that even I have limits. And because I'm a pit bull, sometimes maybe I go too fast. So I need the officers to tighten up on my coat collar a little bit and go, hey, hold on a second, Senior Chief. Let's think about this. This. And I'm like, you know what, sir, you're right. So I want guys like that in on the conversation because, again, it can't just be one person. We need a lot of brains in on this conversation. And the conversation has to be realistic. And it has to be brutal, just like in a debrief. You know, when we debrief our training, it's brutal. We rip one another apart. Guys damn near getting fist fights. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Murder boards. Yeah.
That's right. It's called a murder board for a reason. But it's realistic, and that's why it works. Yeah. Because it's realistic training, and we do it until we get it right. So the problem is so complex. It's not, you know, one person alone isn't going to fix it.
And if you start with politics, you just can't get to the answer.
You're never going to – you just hit the nail on the head. You're never going to get to it because as soon as you drive a political agenda,
gone.
Then you've separated everyone.
We're not talking the solutions anymore. We're talking things that's not going to happen.
That's it.
So
we had Sebastian Younger on the show a while back, and his was this charge to guys like us.
Yeah.
Do this.
Great author, by the way.
Yeah, great author. And he said, you know, your guys' job now is to help us here at home because we're too fractured, and you guys have to fight the fight in the middle to bring us home together because whatever the answer is, probably everybody in the room is going to hate it. And if you hate it and you're like, but I can tolerate that, I mean, this is what we do all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have to like Ty, but Ty's going on the patrol with me. And ultimately, and I've seen this, and I'm sure you guys have some form of it in the SEALs too. Like, you guys can't get along. We're going to be here for 6 more months. So we're at 10,000 feet. You're going to grab these gloves, and you're going to beat the shit out of each other in front of all of us until we're satisfied. Until being pissed at each other is like, that's better. Yeah. And you tolerate it. You know, and you get through it. It's funny. So, okay, let's talk about Vigilance Risk and where you guys are at because you've been at this for a while. I know you know how to work hard because that's what you guys do. Tell us where you're at. What's going on?
So we've been at this for about 28 months, and we've done really well on our own, but we're entering really exciting times right now because today we are launching our first round of funding, or a seed round of funding, and we're going to call it our Family and Friends round.
Nice.
Yeah, we didn't make up that name. So instead of going to venture capitalists, we're going to go to our family and friends that we believe have the ability to be accredited investors, and we're going to try to raise a total of $700,000.
Nice.
So that we can scale this company and take it to the next level.
Okay.
And that's really, really exciting for me as an entrepreneur because I'm in the thick of it right now. You know, 28 months, myself and my 2 partners who were both officers in the Marine Corps, and we all met in the MBV program up at USC. We bootstrapped it. You know, we sat down, 3 of us, and we looked at how much money we needed to really get this thing going and off the ground just between the 3 of us. And it was a little over $15,000. And so we came out of pocket and went, hey, man, let's roll the dice and let's try to do this. And it's worked out for us. We've taken it the long way because we didn't raise money from the very beginning. But I'm glad that we did because we still own this company. Yeah. Other people don't own it, and they're not driving it for us. So I'm excited about where we are right now. I think it's and I tend to be a little overly optimistic, but I think that's why I do well. But I would like to hope that by the end of this year, you know, we will have a really solid customer base up in Northern California. We've already started that.
Nice.
And so I would like to scale throughout the entire state of California prior to 2019, and I think it's possible that we're going to do that now.
That's fantastic. So why Northern California?
Well, I want to be realistic. Like I said, I have a tendency to be overly optimistic. And, you know, ideally I would like to go, no, we're going to scale up and down the West Coast. I'm going to open offices in San Francisco and Seattle and Portland. And, you know, it's easy to have delusions of grandeur. So I would be happy if by January 2019 I have a solid customer base of at least 40 or 50 different companies. Yeah. I'd say between, you know, Northern California and Southern California. And it's working out. You know, we have most of our customers are in San Diego, but we have customers in LA. And now we have some customers up in the Bay Area. Like I said, I just got back from San Francisco late last night. And we went from having, I think, 3 customers in 2016 to now we're almost at 20 customers.
Wow.
Right now, we've done, and these are companies
Yeah.
and schools.
Yeah.
We just went into the education space. We've just went into contract with our first university, and we're working with some private schools. So I think it's realistic that we can achieve this milestone, this goal that I'm going to set for us in the year of 2018. So I'm excited about it.
You should be. I mean, it is exciting, and unfortunately, we keep having a need for more and more of these things. But part of I always got 100 things I want to do too. I'm always pushing. I just push on everything, and then I'm like, what can I beat today? And I just put. But I'm dying to write a story where I kind of red team the world a little bit and say, look, if you want to destabilize America, here's what you would do. You would target these things because that threat is not going to go away wherever it comes from, whether you want to talk about radical Islam or you want to talk about people with broken brains or just people that are pissed. Timothy McVeigh. I don't know if that guy was crazy, but he sure as hell was effective, and he used 0 guns.
Yep.
So just writing those kind of stories where you can say, here are 15 things that could happen that are very simple for next to no money. Because we have a problem, especially military guys. I belong to a lot of strategy pages and stuff where we talk, and I want to ask your opinion on this too. But they always want tanks to fight tanks in a forest.
Yeah.
They always wait like, there's Russians and these Chinese. When we go fight the North Koreans, like, are you serious about these North Koreans? Look, North Korea is very important, and I'm not making light of it. But we have to be honest. If you can't feed, you can't provision, and you can't move, there's no doubt what's going to happen. It's going to suck. It's not going to be any kind of fun. None of us like war. None of us want that to happen. But the reality is tanks in forests and 100,000 men on a side fighting, it's just not reality anymore.
I don't think so either.
We've got to get past that. One of the things we were talking about the other day, and this is not really on topic, but it is interesting. I'm of mind that if you're trans, if you're a female, first off, if anybody who knows anything about the military is surprised to hear that females are going to be in combat roles, too late. Like I've seen female gunners manning a 50 cal machine gun rifle, Madus, in a turret. I've seen females go on patrols with SEALs. I know you've seen it.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know what more combat is than that. Everybody's worried about PT tests and standards. Like too late. OBE, overcome by events. It already happens. Do you see a problem with females being involved in the combat that you've seen? Have you experienced the EO stuff aside that we all have to figure out by being together in terms of performance? If a person is a pro, do you have a problem with them going on your team's mission?
No, I don't have a problem with women being in combat roles. Like you said, they're already there.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen them perform. I've seen them perform well.
Yeah.
I have nothing against women in combat roles, and I think we're foolish as a nation if we believe that women shouldn't be allowed to do everything that men are doing. Now, let's be realistic about it.
For sure.
I do believe that women have their limitations. They have their physical limitations as well as emotional limitations. It's no secret. Women are smarter than men. Okay? It is no secret. I would never presume to be smarter than my wife because I'm just not.
Yeah.
Okay? But women have their limitations regarding gunfighting.
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time, "Hey man, what do you think about?" And you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
They're going to bring women into the SEAL teams, and I'm telling you right now, as long as they don't change the standard because of political agenda, it will not happen.
Yeah.
Because women are awesome, and I know some women that are freaking ninjas.
Yeah.
Okay, trust me, I know some women that I would not want to rumble with because they're smarter than me.
Yeah.
All right. I can be a hammer, but they can be a syringe, and that's a lot more dangerous. But when it comes down to it, they were born a certain way, and we were born a certain way.
Yeah.
And I don't care how strong a woman is, her brain's always going to be way stronger than, the way her body was designed. And I've been in some situations that I know for sure that I can pick a woman, and I'm telling you right now, she'll die trying. So bravery and lack of effort definitely ain't it. But that's just it. She'll probably die trying because her body isn't designed to keep up with that kind of stress.
Right.
I mean, the Israelis tried it. It didn't work for them, putting them in those types of special operations roles where they're, you're trying to take a syringe and turn it into a hammer. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So allow them to be syringes.
Yeah.
Because we need that. We need it a lot.
In
fact, and like you were saying, we need syringes a lot more than we need hammers.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm about to say. Like, as a spy, as a guy that's run those kind of operations, women and trans people have the ability to be invisible in these conflict zones.
Absolutely.
I will take invisible ninjas
all day long.
That will out-collect me as good as I am. I already know, like, you don't even recognize this person exists. Perfect.
All
Thank
day
you.
long.
I'll take a ghost. Yeah.
Because the bad guy's going to look at me and he's going to go, that's one of the dudes with the beards. He's trying to pretend like he's not, but we know that's one of the dudes with the beards.
Yeah.
We don't want to rumble with these guys. Let's go.
Uh-huh.
But they're not going to look at a woman that's been adequately trained. And they're, in fact, most of the bad guys we're dealing with nowadays, they're especially not going to look at her because they look down on her because she's a woman.
Yeah.
And that's when she's going to slip that blade between their third and fourth intercostal and, game over.
That's
I know plenty of women that can do it too.
Yeah, no, Billy Joel wrote a song about that. One of the lyrics basically is, she's going to cut you, and you're going to be smiling while she does it.
That's right.
Falling in love.
That's right.
Absolutely agree with that. And again, if you're a pro and you can do your job, we don't just need hammers. We do need scalpels, and we need someone with that roly pin thing to flatten stuff. And we need all kinds of people. So. It's good to hear that come from another, and I consider myself a pro with you, but it's easy to dismiss that. It's easy to get too big of a solution. Same thing with this school shootings, and thankfully no one's going crazy in corporate America anymore like they used to have. With the guy, like going postal has not happened in a long time. Shooting up an office just luckily has not become a thing again, and hopefully this era of school things will pass. But in the meantime, you're going to have some work and some clients to do, work with. It's crazy. Paul, what do you think?
Hey, I'm 57 years old.
Right.
I'll be honest. The idea of putting women in combat, and I think just too valuable for that, quite frankly. But you know what? If they can do the work intellectually, I got to say, do it. If they can meet standards, put them in there. And if I got a problem with that, I guess that's my problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand when you say they're too valuable for that, though.
I'm an old-fashioned fart. I'm first-generation American. Women, motherhood, and Americana, they're there for taking care of that next generation. I don't want to lose women on a battlefield. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
that's just me.
To
I'm
say
a
that
male
is almost
chauvinistic pig. But I recognize it's my fault. It's my flaw. Bottom line is,
but you
if they can do the work and they can be used and they can do this stuff,
you wouldn't begrudge that woman the chance to raise her right hand and volunteer and say, "I want the hardest fucking job you think I can."
All
hit.
I'm saying is, I don't like it.
Yeah.
My daughter was doing it, wouldn't like it. But it's the right thing to do. I mean, if they can do it, they do it. But like you said, you got to meet the standards. And the standards don't change.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
The standards can evolve, though. So, like in the groups, there's different jobs. There's an officer who leads. There's a warrant officer. There's a Fox. There's a Golf. There's a Delta. All these things. You could, in theory, build someone who's physically fit for being a woman who can contribute on that team. And I hate to say this, but I lack the words to say it better. To play the female role, not cooking and cleaning, but to go out and be a scalpel, be a fox, be a collector.
Yeah.
I could see that world where they are hyper fit, like you have to be, and tough. That's not a problem. But you're right. Some of those things they just can't do. I think my
We're talking
sense is-
generalities here too, because some can. Clearly, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there are female operators.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
female special operations operators, So people are getting wrapped up around the axle about something that's already taking place.
Right, exactly.
There are female warfighters out there. I think that it's becoming this political subject because people are going, wait a minute, female Navy SEALs, female Green Berets,
right?
Because it just sounds abnormal, and it is abnormal. But I'm not worried about it as long as they don't change the standard.
Yeah.
Because I've been through budge training, and I'm telling you right now, it sucks. So as long as they don't change the standard, that's not going to happen.
And as long as we are dictating the standard, the last thing I want to do is have some guy running for some political office making decisions on what the standard is. We know what is needed to get the job done. Okay, we can adjust. I think.
But let me challenge you guys a little bit on that because you're saying don't change the standard, but the standard will change. It always does. It evolves to suit the thing.
Sure.
Look, I'm a middle-aged, too heavy guy, and I've been on 1,000 patrols, and I've never had to pass a PT test in the last probably 20 years, and I don't fall out of patrols. As a leader, you know also that I might have a 50-year-old interpreter with me. And when we climb up that draw at 12,000 feet, and it's a 200-foot ascent in the next quarter mile, and you're damn near climbing a ladder, you already know with the load that we have, being way away from any real support, getting up that spur in 5 minutes is not the answer. You've got to survive, and you got to be in shape enough to fight should someone bring a fight to you.
Got it. But we have to be ones making that decision.
No, that's fine. What I'm saying is it's not about not changing the standard. It's about understanding what the standard needs to be.
What it needs to be.
Well, yeah, because it's about not lowering the standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, standards change.
I'll give you a classic example. I was dating one of the first female firefighters, back in the 80s in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, she couldn't really pass the test that existed prior until they were told you will get a certain amount of women firefighters on the force, and they adjusted the standards. She did not have to carry the same amount of dead weight up a ladder. And it's like, man, I just don't want politicians making decisions or military making decisions when they're told this is the result. You have to have these numbers. Keep the standard, adjust the standards as necessary. When I applied for the Air Force Academy back in 1978, one of the tests I had to do was to get on my knees and throw a basketball with my right arm. What the hell?
That's Branch Rickey shit.
I don't know.
That's Branch Rickey baseball like things. Like that's what you had to do. You had to throw a basketball from your knees. Yeah. So they were trying to see if you could play baseball.
That's great because we need all those baseball players and those F-15s.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I'm saying is things do change. But we made the decisions what needed to change. What does this guy actually need to get the job done physically?
Sure.
And you test that. I don't want someone not in our community. Okay, making that decision.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. That's cool. All right, so let me make sure I do some work here because we are rounding the bend. Vigilance Risk, Ty Smith. They can find you. How do we find out more about your company?
So you guys can check out our website at www.vigilancerisk.com. That's VIGILANCERISK.com. Also check us out on LinkedIn. Just look up our company name, Vigilance Risk Solutions, Inc.
Cool. And if someone wants to contribute to your funding, will there be a way for like the audience to kick in $100, $5, $1,000, whatever it is, or is that going to be more closed off still?
No, it's going to be a private round of funding. Okay. We're restricting it to family and friends, and we're definitely trying to restrict it to accredited investors. We want to keep the paperwork as simple as possible for our lawyers.
Sure. No, because people are going to ask, they want to participate.
Yeah.
And I know when they hear about keeping kids safe, they're going to be like, how do I get involved? So that's good to know that.
Our mission is simple. We want to save lives.
Yeah.
We are a company of 10 individuals, and 7 of us are veterans, and most of us come from the special operations, high-level law enforcement, corporate security community. So that's who we are. We are protectors. We were born that way. We're always going to be that way. When I'm 80 years old, I'm still going to be thinking, man, I could still kick down doors and get down with the best of them if that's what's required to save life. So that's who we are. That's what we do, and that's all we do.
And just as a note to the preppers, if you're hanging out with Ty and you're talking about like what you've got, Ty's going to come kill you. Take your shit. He's going to take all your shit. No, he's not really going to do that. But it is funny. The prepper folks are always bragging. You're like, thanks, man. I'm making note of where you live.
Yeah.
I'm going to come. All right, man. Listen, I appreciate you coming on. Please come on again. Anytime you have something to talk about, anytime we want to bring something up, I want you to, feel like welcome and encouraged. I love coming, any reason to come to San Diego. It's always cool to hang out with you. Thank you, Paul, for rocking with me today.
Very welcome, sir.
We had a good time. We'll have to do it again. And I love what you bring to conversations. That's why it was fun to have you here. And anybody who ever wants to have great paella and they live in the Southern California area, you would be a fool to not hire you because your food is so good.
I have to agree with that 100%. Not my endorsement. So.
Paul's Paella. All right, I'm at Pete A. Turner on Twitter. Definitely talk to me. If you have questions for Ty, reach out to me. I will send them to you, to Ty, and he will do his best to answer them. If you work at a school and you want to get smarter, you are a fool to not call Ty and hire him, because there's nobody in your town that knows more about this stuff. There's nobody in your network that knows more about this stuff than these guys do. They are pros. He's not kidding. High-level people in all directions. I say this to people that I've worked with, but you've worked with Will, so I'm going to extend it to you. Will has entrusted his life with you. That means everything to me. And I get emotional when I say this, but I would trust Ty with my kid's life. So I don't know what else I can say besides that. And you guys mean a lot to me. Thank you much for listening. Definitely support Ty's work, and take care.